Welcome to Marketing Strategies Uncovered, your go-to podcast to unravel the mysteries of marketing. No more jargon, no more confusion, just simple, effective strategies to help your small business thrive. We're here to make marketing fun and success achievable. I'm excited to introduce you to your host, Rebecca Van Diest. Tune in as she makes the complicated easy to understand, and we'll get your business on the right track, one strategy at a time.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Strategies Uncovered. We have another exciting and special episode for you today. We're going to be talking about supercharging your events using social media. And we have Jade Shebelski of Maven and Muse Media. Jade, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Can you introduce yourself and let us know who you are, what your business is, and what you specialize in?
Yeah, so I'm Jade. I do social media management and content creation for businesses that don't have that in-house. I've been doing this for a long time, pretty much since Netflix sent you DVDs in the mail. So if you can remember back to those days, the infancy of Instagram and all of that. I specialize in Instagram, Facebook, primarily a little bit of LinkedIn, and then email marketing and, the old school ways of marketing too, like events and word of mouth and all of that. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here.
Nice. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Do you recommend a certain amount of platforms that people use?
Oh my gosh, this is like the $1 million question. I wish I had like a dime for every time somebody asked me this. Um, I know like business owners always want to be on every single one, right? Because that's cool and they feel like they need to be. But I like to say, like, pick two. Pick one where you feel like your ideal person is hanging out, and then one that you really love to be on. And sometimes, like, it's the same platform, and that would be the ultimate goal, right? Like, where do you like hanging out? Because that's where you're going to be posting the most.
That's a great answer. Yeah, I agree. If you try to be everywhere and all the platforms are always changing, and if you don't have somebody like you that's keeping up with it, that's just too much for anybody when you should be like really focusing on running your business.
Yeah, and like doing it, if you are the one doing your marketing too, like picking two is easy because you can just do two very well instead of doing six mediocre.
That's really true. I'll kind of throw myself under the bus with my LinkedIn right now. I
Mm.
never go over there except if somebody messages me. But I love Facebook, love YouTube. So yeah, I get sidetracked. I want to know all the social media stuff today. Can you tell us how you got started and what's your why for doing your business?
Yeah, so my why for doing my business is I 100% believe that small businesses are the heart of our economy and our society in general. And I want to make sure that people know about them, right? So, like, people can't buy from people they don't know anything about. And so that's the number one thing with marketing is like just bringing awareness that this business exists. And how I got started is a total fluke. I had a full-time job and I had a side hustle of selling vintage clothing and housewares online and then at different street markets. Instagram had just came out and I was styling stuff to, announce like this is coming to the street festival this weekend or this is going to be on the website. And I would go to the street festival and my whole tent would sell out and different business owners would come up to me and be like, how are you doing that? Like you're leaving with nothing, essentially. And I said, I don't know. I think it's this Instagram app. And they said the photo sharing thing for photographers. I'm like, yeah. And so I would have coffee with them, teach them how to do it. They would do what I was doing. I had no idea because that was, back when there was just likes and comments. There was nothing else. And they would do it. And then a couple weeks or a month later, they'd contact me and ask me how much for me to do it for them because it was so intensive. And here we are now,
Wow,
10 years
that's
later.
amazing. That's kind of what we're going to be talking about today is supercharging your events with social media. I know I do see some things locally to me, like events that are popping up. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or you want to just kind of go into detail how it would work if you're having a local event?
Yeah, so I like to tell different business owners, primarily ones who are brick and mortar, like all the cute shops like around Portland and stuff, have an open house, have a sip and shop, something like that, where you're getting people in the actual business so then they can talk about you on social. They can talk about like, hey, I went to this cool event, or like even like the cool artist markets that there are around Portland or the farmers markets, just getting your audience to talk about you more than you talking about yourself.
Love it. Do you have a certain strategy? I know you also have a product that you actually sell. This is something you help people with. But is there
Yeah.
maybe a few tips that you'd give to somebody that want to use social media a little bit more with their events that they could do?
Yeah, my biggest tip would be to know that the algorithm right now, as of this recording, is like set up on a 72-hour algorithm. So you couldn't, like, if you were deciding today that you wanted to do something over the weekend or whatever, just keep that in mind that you have that lag time, that people who are not interacting with your account a lot might not see your stuff for 3 days after you post it. And I think that's where a lot of business owners get caught up is they're like, oh my gosh, it's Monday. I want to have a sale on Saturday. I need to post about it now, but people might not see it till Saturday morning or like Friday night or really close and they already have plans.
This weekend, there's something going on locally near me, and somebody was posting while it was happening, like, hey, come by and see it. And by the time I saw it, it had ended an hour before I saw it. And so
And that
I
is
think,
the saddest thing
yeah,
because it's like, I would have loved to go to this event. Like, why didn't you talk about it weeks ago? So that's my biggest piece of advice would be talk about it far out and talk about it often.
that's great advice. Can you share a story of a client that you've helped, like maybe that, wasn't having good results before, and then you worked with them and they, had their aha moment and hopefully some success?
Yeah, one of them that comes to mind is I was working with a boutique and they were a consignment place and they were looking to get into more higher end, like older women clients that have, more disposable income that would have better things to consign, for example. And so they were like, how do we pull these in? How do we pull these people in? And so we came up with a sip and shop type of event. And it was if you donated, anyone in general, if you donated like these certain brands of denim, they got a $10 gift certificate to the store. And so it brought in those higher end people to start consigning. And then over time, their demographic totally shifted from like 20-year-olds to like mid 30s. And it's pretty interesting to see how it just changed gradually that way.
Very cool. Yeah. So having the right strategy in place and then doing something that people actually want to go to. Do you think it would work for online businesses too, or mostly just or what we're talking about is really more the in-person events?
I, I would say that you can make it work online, but the guide that I offer is primarily for in-person events. But it's not to say that you couldn't do it as like a story sale or something along those lines. We have translated for a couple of clients that same kind of event as a story sale instead of an in-person thing. It's a little bit harder to do because again, you have to like talk about it a lot and really annoy yourself with how often you're talking about it, but you're not annoying the people who are going to come to the event.
Very true. I think COVID taught us nothing really replaces the in-personness too. So it's not a
Right.
bad thing to have an in-person event.
And people I feel are like craving that right now. Like they want to feel part of a community again and want to be with the people and all of that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what do you think are the benefits of the in-person events for business owners?
I definitely feel like the benefits of it are you actually meet your customer, right? So in marketing, there's all this talk of like, you need to create this persona of this person, like how much do they make a year? Where do they shop? All this stuff. But most of the time you never meet that person you've created in your brain in real life. So at an event, you actually meet your customers, and it's good to see, like, is that who I thought my customer actually was? Is that who I thought I was actually talking to? Then it also gives people like your community on social a place to interact with each other in person. And, maybe you're creating more friendships. And again, like they're going to talk to their communities on social about the rad event they were at that you hosted.
That's very true. And people are going to remember you more if they see you in person, making more of an impact versus the thousands of people we see every day online.
Yeah, that we kind of don't really know, but we know
Wow.
it.
Feels like we do sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah. What are some emerging trends for event hosting and using social media, do you think?
I'm not really sure how to answer this question because the trends are always coming and going, but I definitely think that a lot of stuff that's coming up has a food element to it too. So if you're having an event, collaborate with maybe another caterer or a coffee cart or have a food truck there. So then you're having that hospitality of here I have food and drink for you and hang out and do your thing, meet some people. That's what I see emerging a lot is just being more of a destination hangout place for your event and definitely reposting the user generated content that you've gotten from your event. So when people take their pictures or stories and tag you to just repost that to your stories and make a whole like recap post of just user generated stuff.
That's smart for sure. Everybody loves food. So I love that you
Yeah.
said that. Do you also recommend using Facebook ads, Instagram ads? What are your thoughts on
Um,
that?
I have so many. This is like a philosophical topic. I would say if you were consistently posting, not just posting about events, not just posting about selling certain things, to boost some event posts, like boost your event or create an ad for it or something. Because if you're not consistently posting, the ad isn't going to generate a lot of interest because we now have like this Netflix binge mentality. So if someone new sees your ad and they click over to your entire profile and see your last post was like 2019, they're going to be like, is this spam or is this real? So my advice would be like, if you are in a position where you want to boost or run an ad for an event, make sure you're also consistently posting and you have not posted in 4 years.
Yeah, for sure. I always tell people that too, even your website, but especially social media, because you can tell when the last person posted. And so you kind of wonder, is that an active business? Like, will they help me?
Yeah, it's
So
a lot of questions come up and people are not going to ask them. They're just kind of going to assume some stuff in their head.
if somebody's just starting their business and maybe they don't have a lot of money, so they're probably not going to be running ads, how to use this strategy if they have a really small budget.
Yeah, if they have a really small budget, I do offer an hourly rate. So we could crank out a couple questions, a little bit of a strategy, and even an hour. If they have been doing it for a couple months at least, I would say maybe not someone brand new. So I do have hourly consultation time, or I do have VIP days where we would work together for like 4 to 6 hours and get a whole strategy out. And then I would coach you on how to run it. And then you would go with it. And then I would be there for support.
So a little bit of a mix of you can DIY a lot of things if you need to, but if your budget's bigger, you could just take over and
Yep.
make life easier. Okay.
Yep.
Anything I didn't ask that you can think of?
I would just say don't overthink the posting. Like a lot of businesses get caught up in this, but the picture's not good enough, but the words aren't good enough. Like just post because the average person is following 250 people and nobody can buy from you if they don't know you exist. If you keep getting held back from the picture not being a professional photo or something like that, just throw it up there, let it go. And again, like, talk about your events a lot. You will be very annoying to yourself, but you will not be annoying to your audience.
Yeah, one of the people that I follow, they're a marketing coach, and they recommend basically reposting the same exact thing, their email, their social media, like just kind of spinning the same exact thing because not everybody sees it. Would you recommend doing that?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like, the marketing rule of the 1900s was people needed to see something 7 times before they did something, whatever you were asking them to do. And now we have a shorter attention span, so it's 14 times. So
Wow.
you might be posting the thing for the 13th time, but it's someone's first time paying attention to it. So yeah, I love that. Like, recycle the content, exactly what you said, post it multiple times, because who has time to constantly recreate content for an event that has the same exact details all the time?
Awesome. And another question, if you are going to have an event, you were saying 72 hours is when the content's starting to get shown to people. When should people start, like initially before then? When do you think that should happen?
I would definitely say start talking about it at least a month before.
Okay.
Like, have a date picked out, have a time and a location secured, and then like 10 to 14 days, that's when you start doing that reposting over and over again. Like, hey, remember, we're going to be at blah, blah, blah on blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, keep reminding people because a lot of people aren't going to put it on their calendars. Actually, another good question, Facebook events. Do you still recommend that? Is that still a thing?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like, as old school as it sounds, set up a Facebook event, and then on Instagram, you can create a reminder for your event as well. So people can tap to be reminded when the event is coming up, and you can decide how do they get reminded in 24 hours before your event? Do they get reminded 12, whatever, you pick that. But 100% Facebook event, and then ask your friends to click that they're interested, even if they're not in the same area, just click that they're interested, because it'll feed the algorithm more, get distributed wider.
Wow, that's a great tip. Okay, now we know what to do. At least to get started.
Yes.
All right, awesome.
I think this is a good foundation for everything.
We have the basics covered. What's the best way for someone to find you and connect with you?
Yeah, I would definitely say through my website, mavenandmusemedia.com. And then I'm on Insta at Maven Muse Media. Yeah, let's be friends and get these businesses growing and staying.
Yes. Thank you, Jade, for coming on the podcast and sharing all these great tips with us.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca, for having me. I'm so grateful for you. I'm
Oh,
grateful
thank
that you're
you.
doing this podcast for people. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I think we're definitely kindred spirits because that's exactly why I started my business is what you said with yours is it's like I can help small business owners be successful because you do see so many people struggling, especially now with the economy. People need to get their name out there. You have to tell people what you do. I do the website aspect, you do the social media, and it's all important. So
Yeah,
I'm
and like,
grateful for
not
you
everybody.
too.
Yeah, very
All
cool.
right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you again next week. Thank you for listening to Marketing Strategies Uncovered. In the show notes, you'll find an exclusive invite to a separate secret podcast. This 4-part series is by invitation only. With SEO Secrets Unlocked, you'll learn how to transform your website into a lead-generating powerhouse. So why wait? Dive into the show notes, unlock the secrets, and take the first step to supercharge your digital presence. Join us next time for another episode of Marketing Strategies Uncovered. Remember, don't let your business get lost in Google space. Keep improving your marketing so you can show up online and stand out from the competition.